Hello, good afternoon. President Putin says Russia is ready for serious talks about a peace deal with Ukraine. As talks to broker a deal between Russia and Ukraine gather pace, President Putin said Donald Trump's proposals can be used as a basis for future agreements. Speaking this afternoon in Kyrgyzstan, the Russian leader said that Crimea and Donbass should be the topic of discussions with US negotiators. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to travel to Moscow next week.
There was this list of possible agreements from 28 points of them. Like I mentioned, it was transferred to us, and we got acknowledged. We acknowledged it, and after that, there was a meeting between the Americans and the Ukrainians, and as far as I understand, they decided among themselves that all those 28 points should be divided by 4 sections. As a whole, so they gave it all to us, and we agreed that it could have been as a base for the future agreement. I can't really talk about some final versions because we don't have any. Some things that totally of principles, and we can see that American sides bears in mind, in some way, our position, which was discussed, encouraged, and after Alaska, we have to sit down and discuss certain concrete issues. We have to translate it into diplomatic language. One thing is to say that Russia is not going to attack Europe. It's funny for us. It's laughable because we never wanted to attack Europe. Okay, let's put it in writing.
Well, our Moscow correspondent Ivor Bennett has more on this.
These were Vladimir Putin's first comments since the US presented its latest peace proposal to Russia. It presented them with that earlier this week. And I think this was an attempt by Vladimir Putin to show that Russia was serious about the process, that it's engaged in these talks and that it does want to reach a deal. But I think if the Ukrainians and the Europeans were watching that, then I think actually they would say that the opposite soon became clear over the course of this press conference, and that Russia hasn't actually changed its ways at all, and that its core demands have not been diluted whatsoever. So he started by saying some very conciliatory things. He said that Russia agrees that Donald Trump's peace plan can be used as the basis for future agreements. He said that we are ready for serious discussion and that Russia's ready to discuss European security. But those words like discuss, basis for future agreements, that does not mean agree. It does not mean compromise. And when he got into the kind of specific details and the nitty-gritty, the contentious sticking points, all that kind of soft language melted away and the harder edge remained. So on the most contentious point of territory, he said this: one of the key points in the negotiations with the US was recognition of Russian sovereignty over Crimea and Donbass. Now, that is what made that first 28-point peace plan that emerged last week so unpalatable to Kyiv. The idea of them having to hand over territory that Russia does not yet occupy, and the territory that they have spilt so much blood defending over the past 11 years. They got that removed after their talks with the US over the weekend in Geneva, but this suggests that Vladimir Putin wants it back in. It's still a key kind of red line for Moscow. And he also said this: the fighting will stop once Ukrainian troops withdraw in key areas, and if not, then Russian forces will achieve their objectives by force. And that really underlines, I think, the fact that Russia hasn't changed its ways at all, nor its demands. Whether it's on the battlefield or at the negotiating table, Vladimir Putin is making it clear that they are still pursuing victory and securing all of Russia's goals, whether it's territorially, strategically or geopolitically. And just one other thing, he was asked about those leaks, that leaked phone call earlier this week between Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's envoy, and Yuri Ushakov, a top Kremlin aide. that showed that the Americans were coaching the Russians on how to pitch to Donald Trump a Gaza-style peace plan. Vladimir Putin said this. He denied that Witkoff was pro-Russian. He said that's nonsense. He called him a person of culture, and he suggested that leaks could be fake. Now, Steve Witkoff is due in Moscow next week. Vladimir Putin confirmed that for talks with Russia's president on the peace plan. He is hoping that Russia will agree to the latest version, but I think this will be a case of going through the motions, because I think Vladimir Putin in this press conference made it clear what Russia's answer will be.